Hello everyone, welcome to edupediaworld.com. This is your video lecturer Vomika Soni, and in this video lecture I will explain you all about the techniques that are used for the measurement of transpiration. Also, types of transpiration is discussed. Actually, a brief regarding the types of transpiration is explained in this video lecture. In my upcoming video lecture, I will elaborate about the different types of transpiration. See, measurement of transpiration uses a weighing method also. We can use an apparatus in which we can arrange the weighing machine and then we can further measure transpiration. But better methods of measuring transpiration is through potometer. Now what is potometer? It is an apparatus used to measure the rate of water loss from a chute, which is almost equal to water loss through transpiration. Okay, now there are two types of transpiration measurement done with the help of potometer. Actually, there are two types of potometer which help in the measurement of transpiration. First, we will discuss about the Genong's potometer. Now, a twig of a plant is inserted inside the side of a tube of Genong's potometer. See, you can see that a twig of a plant is inserted inside this potometer. The entire apparatus is filled with water. See, this apparatus is filled with water to avoid airspace. Now, what next will be done? An air bubble is introduced. See this small air bubble? It is deliberately introduced into the capillary tube dipped into the beaker. See, here you can see the beaker. Okay, this is the beaker, and we have introduced an air bubble into the capillary tube dipped into this beaker. Now this beaker contains water, okay, and the water present inside the beaker is present to introduce the air bubble, lift the bent capillary tube above the colored water so that the air will be sucked in due to the suction pull and is again dipped into the water. Okay, now due to transpiration, suction pressure is developed which pulls the water from the beaker and the bubble moves. Okay, now this bubble will move when the suction pressure is developed. Now the reading in this capillary tube gives the amount of water lost through transpiration. So this was all about the Genong's potometer, in which we are deliberately generating this air bubble and then we are measuring the transpiration with the help of this Genong's potometer. Next we have the Darwin's potometer. Now what does this Darwin's potometer is all about? It is the simplest type of potometer. Okay, it consists of a glass tube. See, this is the glass tube, you can see. This is the glass tube, and it also consists of a side tube with this glass tube. This is the side tube. Okay, now the twig of plant is inserted inside the side tube. This twig of plant is inserted inside the side tube through a single hole. See, a single hole is made here, and then this twig of plant is inserted inside this side tube. Okay, now the upper end of the straight tube is also corked, and at the lower end a single tube cork with capillary tube. See, here also it is corked, okay, and at the end also it is corked with a capillary tube. Yeah, this is the capillary tube, you can see. Now what next? A scale remains fitted. This is the scale which is fitted, okay, on the capillary tube. It is dipped in beaker. This is the beaker into which this is dipped in. This beaker contains water. An air bubble is introduced in the capillary tube. Okay, this is the capillary tube. We have introduced air bubble, and the comparison of bubbles movement under different condition gives the rate of transpiration. So Darwin's potometer also uses the technique of generation of air bubble, but as compared to Genong's potometer, it is more simple and easy to use. Okay, these were the two potometers which were used for transpiration. See, although weighing methods can also be used for transpiration, it is better to use either Darwin's potometer or Genong's potometer. Now, although we have studied about how these potometer work, we will discuss about the drawbacks of potometer. Okay, first of all, watertight conditions should always be maintained in the potometer, and this is not possible all the time to maintain the watertight conditions. That is why this is one of the drawback. Next is, introducing the air bubble in the capillary tube is not easy. We have seen in both the methods, in Genong's potometer also and in the Darwin's potometer, that they have generated the air bubble. See, this is not possible every time to generate the air bubble in the capillary tube. It is not at all easy. Okay. Next is, change in surrounding temperature can cause change in position of the air bubble. See, after you generate the air bubble, then also you have several type of troubles accompanying with it. One trouble is that the changing environment temperature can cause change in the position of the air bubble. And if the experiment takes long time, the twig may not remain alive. So these are all the drawbacks of using the potometer, that watertight condition should always be maintained in potometer, and introducing the air bubble in the capillary tube is not easy, and air bubble maintenance is also not very easy because of the all-time changing environment. Okay, and the twig also not remains alive for a longer time if it is kept in the potometer. So we have discussed about the drawbacks of the potometer. Next now we'll start with the types of transpiration. It will be a brief to the types of transpiration. I will elaborate about these types in my upcoming video lecture. Okay. See, first of all, it is important to know that transpiration occurs in aerial parts of the plant. These aerial parts include stomata, cuticle and lenticel. Depending upon these regions, transpiration is of three types. What are those three types? Stomatal transpiration, cuticular transpiration and lenticular transpiration. These are the three types of transpiration. Okay. See, in this figure, you can see that up to 10% of transpiration is done from the cuticle, and it depends upon its thickness also. Okay. Now 90%, that means most of the transpiration is done from the stomata. Yes. Now very little lost through the lenticels, that are the pores in the bark, is done. Transpiration through lenticels is very less. Okay. After leaf fall in the autumn, this is the only site of water loss in deciduous trees. So this was an image showing you all the ratios of transpiration done through different parts of the plant. Next we have differences between evaporation and transpiration. This is very important. See, evaporation and transpiration are very different from each other. So we will discuss about the differences. The first difference is that evaporation is actually the loss of water from any free surface of plant, but in case of transpiration, it is the loss of water from aerial parts of the plants. Okay, this was the first difference, that in case of evaporation, the loss occurs from the free surface of the plant, and in case of transpiration, the loss occurs from the aerial parts of the plant. Next is that evaporation is a physical process, but transpiration is an physiological process. Then very important point is that it is not controlled by osmosis and any such process. Remember what is osmosis? It is the movement of water molecules. Yeah. And in case of transpiration, it is controlled by osmosis and other physiological processes. Then the next difference is that factors other than temperature and humidity do not influence evaporation, but light, concentration of carbon dioxide, the pH regulate transpiration. Okay. Then evaporation is a very fast process, but transpiration is a very slow process. Okay, so these were the major differences between evaporation and transpiration. Next, there is a very important information for you all students, that you know what, leaves of some plant, they wilt during midday and they recover in the evening. One such plant is balsam plant. What happens in such cases? The rate of transpiration during midday exceeds the rate of absorption of water by the roots. The cells therefore lose turgidity. In the evening or during the night, there is no loss of water through transpiration, and the turgidity of the leaves is reacquired and they stand out direct. So this was a different information, or it was a very interesting information regarding the plant, that their leaves wilt during midday and they recover in the evening. One such plant is balsam plant. So this was all for today's video lecture. Hope you have enjoyed this video lecture and your concepts are clear. In my upcoming video lecture, I will properly describe about different types of transpiration with some experiments involved, and also I will tell about some of the factors that affect transpiration. Thank you for listening. Have a wonderful day ahead.